All right, so we're getting ready to start the unit that, I'll be honest with you, it's probably the toughest one we do. Okay, so just want to be honest with you. It's all about probability. Okay. And so we're going to start today with just some basics, okay, where we don't have to calculate the probability, it's given to us, and we just kind of interpret what it means. Tomorrow, we're going to go back and look at that basic probability that we did all through middle school and the first part of high school, okay? Just to kind of go back through it, make sure we're good with that before we get into the more complicated stuff next week, okay? So let's take a look. Are weather predictions accurate? I'm going to share something with you today that I think is kind of cool. But anyway, on a local weather forecast, Danielle Brinkman states that the chance of rain is 30%. Okay? What do you suppose that 30% means in this case? I know it sounds like a redundant question.
The 30% that's gonna rain.
Yeah. Okay. So we would say out of 100 chances, we'd say that 30, percent means it's going to rain on that day, right? Well, here's a really cool thing. You want to know how they calculate those percentages? And I think this is really neat. This is what they do with snow predictions as well, and why we struggle so much in the South to predict the snow. So there's about a 30% chance that it will rain that day. Okay. Well, how they do that, right? Because what does percent mean out of how much? 100. Okay. And so what this means is that if they took 100 days in the past where the weather situation or where all the climate measures were exactly the same, all right, as they're going to be for this day, it rained 30 of those days. Okay. So like if they say there's a 50% chance of snow, that means that they go back and they look at 100 days where the weather setup matched what's going to be for this day, and on 50 of those days it actually snowed. Okay, so that's how they do that. And I think that's just really interesting that that's the way they get that percentage versus looking at just a single measure. They're looking at 100 days that have those same issues. Okay, so here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about probability is what we call a long run relative frequency. In other words, how often does something happen? Okay, a relative frequency means a percent. So we're going to look at some percentages and decimals. We're going to talk about some myths that can happen with things being random, and then describe how simulation helps us to model probability. All right. So we're going to start with an applet. Okay. And it's going to show us free throws. All right. It's going to show us Miss Gallus and free throws. And here's what's really cool. None of us are going to get the same data, which is really fun. All right. So I want you to go to your applets for me. All right. And we're going to go all the way to the bottom. And there's going to be one about that says, is Miss Gallus a good free throw shooter? All right. So that's the one we're going to go to. We're going to all get different numbers here. Bring it down. See if I can get my applets to load. Come on. Oh. Quick heifer. Okay. All right, so I want you to go down to where it says activities. Okay, so it's at the very bottom of your Staplets page. And we're going to select that one that says, is Miss Gallus a good free throw shooter? So it's down towards the bottom. All right, and it's going to bring up this little activity we're going to do. Okay, and we're going to do this activity independently. Okay, so we're going to choose the first one on it. So is Miss Gallus a good free throw shooter? And then once it loads, we're going to do it independently. So the first little box. Okay, so here's Miss Gallus looking all cute, ready to shoot the basketball, right? You're going to hit shoot one time. Woo, I made it. Okay, you may not make it the first time. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. All right, the statistics that we see down there at the bottom, 1 out of 1, 100%. We're going to go to our notes. How many makes? I made 1, and my percent was 100. Okay. Then I'm going to go back to my applet. All right. I'm going to hit shoot again. All right. So shoot. Oh, she made that one. Okay, so for mine, she made it again. All right, so go back over here. How many shots has she made? She's made 2 and 100. So you see what we're doing there? Okay, so we're gonna go all the way to 5, doing it one at a time. Okay, so shoot. Ooh, me and Miss Gallus. Then I'm gonna shoot it again. Oh, yes. 4 out of 4. Shoot it. Oh, yes. All right, I'm still good at 5 out of 5. Okay. Now, the next time we're gonna write it down is when I get to 10 shots. So we're gonna keep hitting shoot, okay, until I've taken 10 shots. All right, so let me go back over there. Okay, so that's 6, 7, 8. Oh, I missed one. 9, 10. Okay. It will change eventually. Okay. So I made 9, which is 90. Then you're going to do it again. You won't write it down until you get to 15 shots. Okay? And then you'll do it again. Write it down at 20, and then at 30, then at 40, then at 50. Okay? So go in and do those for me. Keep hitting shoot. Let's see how we land.
Mommy.
By the time I got to 30, I'd made 24, which was 80%. All right, y'all can't get off your phones when we get back from lunch. They're going in the thing. Put them up. Let's see how we did. Okay. So what do we think her actual true free throw percentage is? Is it 100? Is it 90? What do you think it probably is?
Still 80.
Around 80? Yeah, that would be my guess too. Why would you say around 80?
Because the more we went down, the more total shots we had, the more it averaged around.
Yeah, it seemed to kind of level out around 80%, right? So the more free throws we took, okay, then it seemed to level out around 80. In fact, my last 3 recordings were right at 80. So I would say that, yeah, she's probably around 80% in her free throw shooting. Okay. Okay. What could we do to make our guess more accurate? Yeah, take more shots. Okay, take more shots. The more shots we take, the more accurate our data is going to be. Okay, or our prediction is going to be. Y'all, that's referred to as the law of large numbers. Okay, the more I do something, the more likely I'm going to get an accurate measurement. Okay, so that's referred to as the law of large numbers. All right. Okay, not hashtags, but numbers. All right, the law of large numbers. All right. And so the truth is, she really does have about an 80% probability or a 0.80 probability of making free throws. Let's interpret that probability. What does that mean?
That means out of all of her total shots that she makes 80%.
Yeah, she makes about 80% of her free throws. Okay, so a probability of 0.8 means she's making about 80% of her free throws. Okay, now in order for that to be accurate, she'd need to take a lot of free throws. Okay, so there's probably a big difference between your free throw percentage at the beginning of the season versus your free throw percentage at the end of the season. If you're a basketball player, why is that true? You've taken more shots. All right, you've taken a lot more shots. So, okay, now if we clicked all the way up to 50, which we went ahead and did, mine landed at 80. What did yours land at? 88, 86, 80. Okay, if we took it all the way, if we restarted, we clicked all the way out, and we did this simulation again, would we get the exact same percent?
I've not been getting this thing, so I've been doing it. I want to see how low I can get. The lowest I got is 70%.
70% is the lowest you've got?
I can get from like 80
Yeah?
to about like 86 is the typical.
Yeah? Okay. But if we were to do it again, like we closed it out, we reopened everything, and we started again, would we be guaranteed to get the exact same numbers again? No. Okay? No. And so that's what's cool, all right? Every group, every simulation will give a different result. Okay? And I like to think about that in real life terms. If I were to, play ball with friends, right? Am I going to make the same number of shots every time? No. Okay, I'm not. Even if we play for the same amount of time every day for 10 days in a row, I'm not guaranteed to make the same number of shots for lots of reasons. Okay, one, I might not get the ball as much. Two, I might just have an off day. All right, things like that. Or I have a really good day. Okay, so it could be a lot of things. Okay, so go to lunch. We'll finish when we get back.